All right. Early dose. Good morning. Happy 4th of July. Happy Saturday weekend, 4th of July, Independence Day. Yes. I didn't have an American flag shirt, so I figured the next best thing, actually even better, why don't I sit behind the American flag? Good morning to you. If you come on here, thank you for bearing with me. I do the early dose. We have things planned for the day, and I got to get out. We got to run some errands, and I'll share with you. And rarely do I change the time on the daily dose. Typically it's at 8 a.m., but we're going live at 7:30. So thank you. If you're catching this in replay, if you're getting up at 7:30 or maybe 8 o'clock to listen, and you're getting your coffee ready and you're like, oh, he already did it. Don't worry, I save them all. This is episode number 97. And if you've been on here any period of time, if you watch any daily dose, this is Gratitude Saturday. So much to be grateful for. So much to be grateful for. I'm grateful for that right there. I'm grateful for so many things today. It's a really, really special day. And if you know me, maybe you know my family, you'll know the reason why, or you already know why. It's really kind of special for us and our family to think about the birth of American independence. And it's also a day of birth for one of our children, our firstborn, who was born on this very day. He's in bed sleeping. He's a 17-year-old. So if you got any teenagers, you feel me on this, is where they stay up late, maybe play games, video games, that sort of stuff. And as a 17-year-old, I could be doing worse things, right? Like I was. But it is his 17th birthday today. So we'll be kind of celebrating a little bit differently, but that's all right. We're still celebrating. And we're also celebrating the birth of our independence, right? Which is so, so amazing. But before I get into that, let me just share with you, just so you want to hang on, because I want to tell you a story about that as well. But as usual, I want to just do a quick review, just so you know, to all of the daily doses I post, they're all recorded. And you can go back and check those out. I also have them on YouTube. If you search it up, I haven't posted the link, but you can go on and look, and it's a channel, and in my channel you can go look and see the playlist, and I have a daily dose playlist, so all 97 episodes are on there if you want to go check some of those out. They're all titled as well, so one might resonate with you. And I just want to say thank you. Thank you for listening. If you spent, any time, a few minutes, maybe a few episodes you watched, maybe you've been watching all the episodes, and I just want to say thank you for that. Gratitude is really, really, I am very, very grateful. We're going to really quickly do quick week in review. So Monday, we talked about if you're going to fail this week, congrats. We all do. So congrats on that. That was Monday. Tuesday was how to look, feel, and get better after 40. And what about look, feel? What does that have to do? Well, as an online fitness coach, if you haven't heard, I help people over 40 who are looking to lose weight, 20, 30, 40, 50, even over 100 pounds, and really learn how to do it without long workouts and impossible diets, and to keep the weight off forever. So that's what I do on a side note. If you want any information, you can share that with me. We have an awesome inner circle of people, and you want to come into that community, see what it looks like, we can talk about it over the phone. So we talked about how to look, feel, and get better after 40 on Wednesday. We talked about how your body changes after 40, and we talked about, I could have gone on for hours and hours, how many things happen to us after 40 and what happens to our bodies, and really what to do about it more so. That was Wednesday. Thursday, I talked about this one, which I threw a curveball at you, how you should compare yourself to others. And we discussed how you really, it's okay to compare yourself to others. And there's actually a good thing about that. Go back and check that one out. And then Friday, which I think maybe was one of my favorites for me, even listen, I go back and listen to my daily dose myself to give myself a daily dose. It isn't like a narcissistic thing. I want to hear and I want to know how I can improve and listen to the message that I'm giving and making sure that I'm giving a lot of value. And that's also today, Independence Day, 4th of July. I want to share with you some value in this. Also, we talked about that as far as who's breathing life that Friday, who's breathing life into your world. That was Fridays. And it really is truly so important in times like this right now. I know that I feel, and I'm more of a kind of guy that the cup is overflowing, filled and overflowing, and I want to overflow that into others' lives. And the only way I can do that is to surround myself with people who are encouraging to me, who lift me up, who are supportive. I have a great, amazing, supportive wife. Of course, that's most important because you spend the most time, with your spouse, maybe even now. And then people, business partners, colleagues, friends, close-knit friends who are all helping you level up, so to speak, because you can either level up in life, you can either level up and come to whatever's coming at you and bring it, and do that with a crew and a team, or you can level off, or even worse off, fall off the side of the cliff, Rich, and I hope that doesn't happen for you. So much to be grateful for. That was the Gratitude Saturday we're going to be talking about in just a moment here, but that was our week in review. And so birth of American independence. Yes, I'd mentioned besides the birth of our independence, it doesn't sound like something that you would necessarily think right about now in this world. And I'm not going to get into politics. I don't get into any of that stuff again. I know that there's lots of just controversy and lots of difference in opinions. Totally get that. And I appreciate you for having your opinions. You can, I do as well. I just choose, for the most part, to share what I believe and do it in an encouraging way, the best that I can. And man, today is such a great day. Yes, the birth of our independence, and while I know we have to almost fight for it on a daily basis, I'm grateful for that. But also I think of on this day 17 years ago, my son was born. And there's a lot of things that we fought with him in a good, positive way, but a lot of things that were really hard and hurtful. Like in the last 17 years, we've gone through a lot of things just with him. And I would say is while he is, we have two children. I have a 15-year-old. She wouldn't let me do anything, wouldn't let me post anything. That's just a 15-year-old girl, and I want to honor her. And I did. So I didn't post anything, and I typically do. But my 17-year-old son was born 4th of July. Firecrackers were booming. We were in the hospital at night. He was born at night, literally like downtown. We were at a hospital here in downtown area where there's fireworks going off. And it was fireworks from that moment forward. And if you know my son, there's basically fireworks all the time. He's got pretty much the amount of energy that I have times like 10. And that's kind of a crazy thing to think. Because I like to think that I have quite a bit of energy and to just bring that energy out. And then he's like 10 times that. So I remember when he was younger, and we'd have little 4th of July parties. We'd have little beach parties, and we're surf skate family, right? So you know that. And I'll never forget, because we would do literally we'd go out for a day of skating, like all day. We'd go to skate parks, day of skating, skate parks. And then we'd go from the skate parks back home. We'd fuel up, get some food, and get some snacks, and then go to the beach and then surf our faces off, and then come back and then let Mason's friends take a nap at our house. They'd all nap. And then what we would do after is we would go down to the beach then for fireworks and parties and friends and family and all that stuff. And it was literally a day of just full-on activity all day long. And I loved it. I ate it up, and you might have seen some pictures over time. It was fantastic. But there was also a time that was hard where we didn't feel so independent. When he was in about, I can't remember exactly the grade, but it was between the ages of about 7 and 9. And you may have heard this story. And it's a hard one. It's a hard where we were stuck. Like we were at a complete loss of not knowing what to do. You see that same son of ours, who's now 17 and healthy and well, there was a period of about 2 years that he wasn't healthy and well. He developed what's called a lymphangioma, glioblastoma. It was a non-cancerous but a very big cyst that grew on his neck. And that was at a young age. And it really, I say this, and I'll try not to get too emotional, because it was a time where we were in desperation. We didn't know what to do, how to act, how to respond. Like my wife knows all about cancer, so we were all thinking about the problems that could exist, and we knew he had to have surgery. So anyway, big tennis ball size, you can imagine, if you're a parent, if you have children now, you would do anything for your kids, anything. You'd sell your home, you would go bankrupt, you'd do anything for the health of your children, right? Us too. So, and we did. We pretty much went, kind of tanked in finances and stuff, because we had to get him well. And one surgery didn't work, and it grew back. And first off, we didn't even want him to go under general anesthesia. It's not good when you're young to have that kind of medicine as a young kid, but he needed to. And some of you maybe have had kids that have had major surgeries. He went under general anesthesia. And not only did it happen once, it happened another time, because the first one didn't work. It didn't. The doctors, great doctors here, great surgeons, and we had full trust and faith in them, but it didn't work. And then he had 2 surgeries. He had a second surgery. And the second surgery, we're like, all right, this has got to be the trick. This is what has to happen. This definitely has to be what. And Guess what? After the second surgery. Now, mind you, he's like 7 years old, okay? And it grew back. So here we are. He's in, elementary school, and it grew back. And we're like, it's like desperate times call for desperate measures when it comes to your children. You do anything. You come after my kids, and I'll tell you, I will be behind bars, because that would just, if it did anything to them, I'm sorry, that's just how it is. And I'm sure if you're any sort of parent, you feel me on that, right? So at the time, as you see the flag, and we're talking about Independence Day, we were not independent. In fact, we were dependent on not knowing. We were completely dependent on not knowing what to do next. 3 surgeries. We went to third one. Okay, I got many here. Third one, I think the third one, and the third one we had another surgery. That was in New York City. We went to like the specialist. We went to the best of the best. The guy took us in his office. We were blown away. The guy was like, this is all I do. People come across the world, all across the globe, to come have this kind of surgery done and have me do it. Full 100% trust and faith in him to take it. And he did a great surgery. Everything was great. I remember being in the city, and guess what? It grew back. And we were like, I remember we were at a loss. We didn't know, holy cow, what's going on? Our world's coming down. And do you feel that right now? Maybe, and not just your kid, maybe in your life. Maybe your job is lost. Maybe you feel this world is crumbling and falling apart. Maybe you lost friends that you argued politically or whatever. Maybe you just see nothing but hatred and spew and racism and all that stuff in this world right now, right? So, but where you feel there's no control. And we were at that phase. We were at that stage of no control. And this is going to be encouraging. Don't get me wrong. This is not a sad sob story, because it is encouraging. Because I told you he's sleeping in his room right now at 17 years old on his birthday today, and he's healthy and well. So hang on to this. So 4th surgery. That was the 3rd surgery. 4th surgery. Came back here. We tried another surgery. And with a different doctor, the same doctor. And we said, okay, this didn't work. We'll try this. 4 surgeries. And it didn't work. And then at that same time, one of the things, and I'll tell you what, it's partly why my whole faith journey really essentially began in that moment. You see, because where we felt we were out of control, completely out of control, no independence, completely dependent on whatever happens, we don't know what to do next. Our best efforts, we had all the money, we spent so much money. And it was funny because we have great insurance now. We had terrible insurance before. It was not much. So it was hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars, right? So at that point, it didn't matter because our kid was still not well. And at the same time, we're our lives are good. What's going on here? We don't know what to do. We were completely felt like we were handcuffed, and we felt like we were prisoners in our own family, because there was nothing that would happen in my son's neck. Now, would it have killed him? Chances are no. It could have grown and grown and grown, and they could have kept doing surgeries. He could have lost his voice, which is kind of ironic because he likes to talk like me. But I would say is at that same time, and I hope you're listening on here, is at that same time, we had a friend of ours. And you're wondering why maybe my openness and my faith, my boldness and my walk with God right now, it didn't happen overnight, let me just tell you. In fact, it happened over a period of the last really 10 years. But I can't discount what happened, because truly there was a miracle that happened. Because what happened, we got invited, and we had been invited. You live here in the Bible Belt of Florida, and there's churches on every corner. You get invited, and it just wasn't a part of our life. God was we knew he was there, but it wasn't a part of our life. We didn't know what that meant. We had friends that invited us to go to a service here, and we went. And this particular service was more of a sort of contemporary, it was a little bit more younger feel. And anyway, we left. And this is while my son's we're dealing with this with my son. And so many other things going on but this. And we said to each other, did you just understand what just happened there? Did you get it? My wife and I were talking as we're bringing our kids home, and they had a great experience. They were talking about how much fun they had, the kids area. And we said, yeah, I think that's, we look back now, and I think that was what's called the gospel, is understanding the good news of this whole thing called a relationship with God through Jesus. And this is not to push my religion on you at all. I'm just sharing my experience and truly what is a miracle, and why I'm so grateful today, Saturday, for my son's birthday, and that he's healthy and well. Because what happened in that moment was the shift, it was the change, because we kept going back. And we said, we want to hear more of this good news, because we had no good news in our life at the time. There was just not any good news. Nothing was good. We were like we were getting in debt up to our eyeballs. My son was not healthy and well. We were stressing out. It was a terrible time in our lives. And if you ever have kids that are struggling or suffering or sick or not well for whatever reason, you know what I'm talking about. If you're that person, you know what I'm talking about. And maybe you are in your circumstances in life right now where you don't have a job and you can't pay for this and you don't know what to do. I'm going to share this with you is when we put it down on what they call the altar. We literally cast our anxieties and fears and we surrendered our lives. What that mean was just saying, Jesus, take this from us. We want to trust in you. We believe in you. We know we've done things and we do bad things, but we know that you are here for us and you forgive us and you love us and you just want a relationship with us. So we did. We both basically said we committed our faith and said we want to be followers. We want to be Christians. And so it was interesting. So check this out if you're listening still, and I do appreciate you because this is the miracle. Truly is a miracle. Independence Day miracle. And maybe you're waiting for a miracle in your life. Is within the next couple of weeks, we had to discuss this next surgery. And this next surgery, we're like, is it gonna? And I'll never forget, my wife and I were talking, and we were talking with the doctors, and we had this discussion. And my wife was saying that she had this thought: what about the tonsils? Just hang on here. What about the tonsils? Like what? I mean, they're like, no, that doesn't have anything. But you know what? He doesn't need them, so we can take them out. And my wife told me, and I'll never forget, she said, the tonsils, like, there's just something, God was speaking to me, and she was praying and understanding, having that conversation, that relationship that's really kind of started then. And God was saying, hey, what about these tonsils? So anyway, lo and behold, we have this next surgery. I'll say it's last. I gave it away already. This next surgery, and they said, yeah, we could take out the tonsils. And guess what? 5 surgeries. They come out. They said that was where the problem was. There's like they've never had a case in their entire life. None of the 3 doctors. They've never seen it anywhere in their entire life, and that's exactly where it was. And that was it. I was sold. There was like a miracle that happened. Now, it wasn't on 4th of July, but it is my son's birthday, and I wanted to share this because I'm so grateful. And this is the grateful part. I'm grateful that my wife, being an amazing wife, that birthed both our children and like went through that she like helps like just surround me in my struggle with this, and my kid for enduring at a young kid's age to go through those many surgeries and live to tell about it and be healthy and well now and recover. And for God, I'm so grateful to God for literally like knocking on the door so loud that we'd hear him right from the beginning. I'm so grateful for the doctors and the nurses and the surgeons that were all a part of his healing, his surgeries, all of that stuff. Like, so grateful for so many of those things. And I'm just grateful that I like literally experienced a miracle. It was truly a miracle. So my encouragement to you is this, is maybe that's the missing link right now. Maybe the missing link. Maybe the thing that is causing this emptiness to be filled with maybe hatred and hardened heart is that there's just not a direction with that relationship and understanding what that means. And again, it's not here to preach to you. It's just to share my experience, because you can't say, oh, no, that's false news. That didn't happen. Well, let's do a fact checker on that one, Mark. Let's make sure that your son really had those surgeries and really had... Yeah, I don't think so. The cool thing about faith and your journey in faith and what I see in other people, other Christian, other believers, is that their story is their story. You can't take it away from them. Like my story, and if you knew anything about any of my story, you'd know there's a lot more to it, but I can tell you I don't know where I'd be at now. I would probably be in the same position a lot of people would be in, spewing hatred and angry and posting links of saying, look at what they're doing and look at this, and my life is so ruined and this world is in such a bad spot, and gosh, I can't believe America and and all that stuff. And hey, that might be your opinion, But that is not going to be productive at all. Nobody's going to change anybody's mind. It isn't fruitful. There's no fruit out of that, I would say. So maybe today you think of the gratitude just for being independent. And even if you just think of my kid who now has independence, he's free from any kind of growth. Benai is nothing. He's healthy well. In fact, he's a 17-year-old and he's getting ripped. That's what he tells me. He's getting ripped. And we're proud to be his parents. And I'm even more proud that God showed up in my life when he did. And I really feel like the big struggle for a lot of our country, is we're so dependent on so many things that we have to do for ourselves. And not actually, if you're going to be dependent on one thing, I would say what's changed my life around is being dependent on a God who loves and cares for you infinitely, cares, no matter how many times you messed up. You don't have to get yourself well to be on this journey with him. You don't. In fact, we screw up. I screw up. We all screw up over and over and over again. And when we continue to screw up, there's a forgiveness and a mercy and a grace that exists. And, those are the things I think we get really, really stuck and struggling with. When we try to rely on our own best efforts, we rely on hey, I'll just tough it out. I'll just do this. We'll get through this. We'll be stronger. And sometimes it just takes being actually weak and realizing that you need somebody. And then when you rely on friends and other people like that, yeah, it might help a little bit, but nothing like a savior. Can I get an amen for my believers out there? Anyway, so my encouragement to you, happy 4th of July, happy Independence Day. I hope this message found you well. I hope if you're struggling to find gratitude, if you're struggling to find any kind of freedom in your life, there really was not freedom for us for a number of years when we were going through that. There was a lack of fruit. We felt like we were in this kind of handcuffs, just being shackled and bonded and in a completely desperate place. And you might be in one of those too. And I just want to encourage you. If you're keeping or reaching for all those things, or the things that numb you, the medicines, the alcohol, the drugs, the poor bad relationships, maybe other nasty relationships, maybe people who are trying to just pull you down with them because they're so angry and they want to pull you down with them, you may want to look another direction. That's what we did when we were going through our struggles with our son. We looked in another direction. You know what? That direction was faith. It's faith and belief in God's going to carry you through. The only way to do that is just to accept him into your life. And that's the beautiful thing, is really it doesn't take much, but it takes everything at the same time. So I hope this message found you well. Daily Dose, happy 4th of July. I know it went on. I had a lot to say. I hope it did provide some value for you. Take care and have a blessed with yours and your loved ones. Take care.